Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we'll be talking about the show Monarch Legacy of Monsters. Fun fact, this show takes place before the events of Kong Skull Island and in between the events of Godzilla and Godzilla King of the Monsters. This show came out in 2023 and stars Anna Sawai, Kiersey Clemons, and Rin Watabe, and was created by Chris Black and Matt Fraction. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. Monarch Legacy of Monsters follows Kate and Kentaro Randa, who are investigating their missing father with the help of their friend May. Along the way, they enlist their grandmother's friend, Lee Shaw, who is being held by this mysterious organization by the name of Monarch. And Monarch is hiding something about these giant monsters, also known as Titans. While that is going on in the present day, we also get some flashbacks on how Monarch was started and the roles that Kaiko, Lee, and Bill Randa played with getting this organization up and running. Monarch Legacy of Monsters is a show about monsters and the organizations created to help understand them. It has similar vibes to Godzilla, Pacific Rim, or Kong Skull Island. I love monster stuff, and I think that the Monsterverse is just such a fun universe. So I was like, I'm going to give this show a try, and I really enjoyed it. The show expands on a world that has already been introduced to us across four movies and shows just how little we know. One thing I was nervous about was the budget because I was like, you can't have a show set in the Monsterverse and not have monsters, but they gave them a good budget and had plenty of monsters to keep me entertained. I thought it was cool in modern day to follow these half siblings who didn't know that their dad was out here hopping across the globe getting different people pregnant, and to see them dealing with learning the fact that they have a half sibling, that their father cheated on their mothers, and that he is working for a secret organization that knew about Godzilla and the other Titans for years and has kept that info from the public. It was interesting to see that their grandmother and grandfather were key players in getting Monarch created. And as the season went on, they learned about their family, and we learned that no matter what, the Randa family is going to be involved with these Titans. I thought they were really smart too because they were able to use what their father left behind to basically piece together a puzzle of what happened to him and where he might be, which led them straight to him. I was wondering what May's role might be in the grand scheme of things. You know, she was very mysterious and we knew that she was running from something, but we didn't really know what exactly it was. But once we learned who she was running from, things started to make a little bit more sense and then it was easier to connect the dots. In Godzilla vs. Kong, there is a mechanical Godzilla that makes an appearance that is created by a company called Apex Cybernetics, which is this company that May is running from in this show, even though in this show it takes place before those events, and the company is being called Applied Experimental Technologies. But we see in a clip from this show that the company is going to be rebranding soon and be re-announcing itself as Apex Cybernetics. We know this company is up to no good per May's disdain for them and how they use her code for something that she didn't plan on using her code for, which is the reason why she was running because she basically sabotaged them so they wouldn't be able to use it. And now we know because of the other movies, if you've seen Godzilla versus Kong, that they are creating weapons to fight these creatures that they don't know enough about. There's always this debate online about nepotism babies, which is just funny to me because I actually just don't really care. People get so worked up about it. But this show has one of the best uses of a Nepo baby by having Lee Shaw be played by Wyatt Russell in the past, and in the present day be played by Kurt Russell, who is his dad. I'm so happy that they did this instead of using that weird de aging software because if you have an actor like Kurt Russell, who has a son who also acts. Why not use both, considering that's the closest you'll probably get to a younger version of himself? I thought both actors did a great job of showing the character and how much he changed over the years from a military diehard, and then he met Bill and Kaiko and started to become more rebellious, and eventually, as he got older, realized that what the government was doing isn't right. I had a feeling that he knew that Kaiko was still alive and was waiting for the perfect opportunity to go and save her, which the Randa kids kind of gave him. I do wonder if there's any way that he survived at the end, though. There are some other connections to the Monsterverse besides, the Titans. We see Apex Cybernetics and them getting info from Monarch through May, which hinted them planning something to rival Godzilla, which leads into Godzilla vs. Kong, which is a big reveal. Bill Randa, who is played by Anders Holm for the majority of this show, is a younger version of the character played by John Goodman from Kong Skull Island. We see that Duvall's sister is Sandra Brody, who dies at the beginning of Godzilla when the reactor becomes unstable, which means that she is also the aunt to Ford Brody, who was one of the main characters in the first Godzilla movie. I have seen all the movies, and while I don't remember every single thing, it was nice to have these small little callbacks to just really show how this show connects to some of the events of the movies. I love that this show went from past to present so that we could see that some people have known about these Titans for a long time and hid that information from the world. We also get to see that the Titan world that was introduced to us in Godzilla vs. Kong is something that they knew about as well, but after a failed experiment to get down there, they just decided not to explore it anymore. In the past, we see how the government of the USA decided that the best option was to try to bomb these titans instead of listening to the scientists who were really just trying to understand them and how this could affect humans, which would have benefited them more instead of just trying to blindly destroy them, not knowing if that would actually work. We see that them bombing these titans doesn't actually do anything and just goes to show you that taking the aggressive approach isn't always the best. Like I said, I was nervous about the budget because I wanted to see monsters, and yes, we saw plenty. And one I was not expecting to see was Godzilla, and I was shocked that we saw that monster in particular multiple times. One thing that has been stated multiple times is that Godzilla is the king of monsters, and this show further solidified that with how they showed him dealing with other titans or the government's interference. One thing I was really shocked to see was that they knew in the past that there was another world, and after a failed experiment to check it out, they never wanted to explore it again. We learned that in order to get into the monster world, you have to have a Titan cross with you. This is one of the things that hinted that Lee may be trying to find Kaiko, but I completely missed it. Early on, we find out that she was dragged down by these creatures from the Titan world, and one is to assume that she is dead. But as the season goes on and we learn more about this other world inside of our world, we start getting small hints that she may be alive, like the signals from that world and time not working the same there. We come to find out that to her, it's only been 53 days, but for the outside world, it's been 53 years, but she hasn't really aged a bit. I'm glad that she made it out alive, but I'm interested to see how she deals with, interacting with this different world that has changed so much since she was last there. My favorite part of the show was the flashback scenes. I feel like in the past I've watched the Godzilla movies because they are entertaining, and I never really thought about if anyone was keeping tabs on these monsters. And in the films, we learn about Monarch, but the flashbacks give so much more depth into the beginnings and how it was an uphill battle to get Monarch off the ground. The actors who played Kaiko, Lee, and Bill were great and really had me invested to see how this would all play out. I love seeing how there was so much they didn't know and how the scientists really wanted to learn more about these titans, even if they didn't have the support from the government. There were a lot of questions I didn't know I needed answered that were answered from these flashbacks, and I'm really glad that they added them into this show. Monarch Legacy of Monsters is a great addition to the Monsterverse. The story had me on the edge of my seat week after week and had me wondering at first how it fit into the Monsterverse and why would they be focusing on this timeline, but as the story continues, it all starts to make sense. The cast was great and it really had me looking forward to more monster movies, but also hopefully more about Monarch and to see what's in store for this lost world. Thank you for watching my video. I would love to hear your thoughts down below in the comments. If you haven't subscribed, please do so you can keep up to date with more of my videos. But besides that, everyone stay safe, have fun, and goodbye.